Jensen, Alicia just told us that you were on her show. It was like your second job. What did you talk to her about that? What?
Yeah, I was fresh off the turnip truck, and that was I think in '96 or '97. Yeah. Hey, shut up. Yeah, it was a one-off guest spot. I had no idea what I was doing.
He was supposed to be a recurring character, but they saw his performance.
And that was it. Just one and done.
One and done.
Yeah. So what was that? 19 years ago or something like that? So
20 years ago.
97. It was 19 years ago.
96.
I'll do
Guys, it's impossible to figure this one out.
So was it weird then
Anybody
to
have a
talk to her
calculator
on your show, like a little surreal moment then?
I oddly enough, I like don't even remember that experience. I mean, like looking at it, I'm like, yeah, that's me. But I was so kind of young and wide-eyed and just shut up, don't get in the way, know your lines, hit your mark, and keep your mouth shut. So
I remember.
Except if you have a line.
and then I just go loop it in.
I remember my first guest spot was on Charmed, and
I saw that.
And
one
two
of the
things
fans
you guys
posted,
just
that was
said,
wonderful.
Two things that you just said reminded me of it. One was it was supposed to be recurring, and it turned into a one episode arc.
So that was no lie.
So that touched a nerve. And then the other was hit your mark. I literally had to ask, sorry, what's a mark?
Oh, no, really?
Yeah, that was really green.
That's
So
amazing.
we've seen tonight's episode already.
Oh, great. Well, I haven't
What?
seen it.
We saw at the end, that Mary finally texted Dean back and they.
What is tonight's episode?
It's
American
Nightmare. One with Magda.
The religion
Yes.
one. What can you tell us a little bit about Mary coming back and reuniting with her sons and how they're going to sort of move past this whole leaving thing?
Well, there's certainly two different kind of relationships going on from Sam's perspective and then my perspective as well, or from Dean's perspective. Because Sam never had a relationship with Mom. He was an infant, and Dean didn't have much of one either. A lot of what he knows and what he remembers about his mother was kind of dictated to him by his father. So it's more his father's memories of her than it is, Dean's established memories of her. But it's unique because she's their mother, but she's also kind of a stranger. And obviously the brothers are strangers to her as well, which is why you see kind of this struggle to find their footing in the relationship, because it is kind of a forced situation. Yes, it worked. It is kind of a forced situation, and that they're, at least from Dean's perspective, he doesn't really know how to fit he doesn't know how to categorize the relationship. It's just, it's an awkward thing, which I think lends itself to good story.
There's an episode coming up that delves a little bit into Cass's background and family. Can you talk about that, Misha?
I think that got cut.
That's another awkward thing to talk about. Well, we're doing it. We're doing it right now. So yeah, we just came downstairs from
Doing it
shooting
upstairs.
a scene in an old church where we are dealing with some of Cass's old battalion mates from heaven, and yeah, I think it's interesting for him to sort of rehash old memories, for sure.
Also get a glimpse of what Cass was like before.
Before he was humanized a little bit.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're seeing the earliest version of Cass to date,
Yes,
which is kind of interesting, to say
to say
the
the
least.
least.
Yeah.
Now that Cass has joined up with Crowley and they're working together,
Please don't talk about that.
what can you tease from what we're going to see from that dynamic? Because I can't even imagine what.
The pain.
Yeah.
It's definitely, it's funny because initially they were talking about like a buddy cop, comedy kind of thing, and I was like, oh, come on, that's not going to work. But it actually has sort of.
It's really funny.
We've had some funny moments with it that actually did work. They are both, particularly Cass. Cass is very reluctant to be working with Crowley, but
They say life imitates art.
yeah. But we're muscling through, and there's a lot of eye rolling, which is something that I've had to work on, but I've perfected it.
Is it ever amusing to kind of look around and say, okay, Vancouver and this network is now surrounded by superheroes? Like,
Yeah.
we've been sticking around all this time, and now we got all these super teams in town. Is that, what's your reaction to that?
I don't know anything about that, I guess because
We
we're
like to say, it's the network of superheroes and actual heroes.
Boom! Up top! Still got it!
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see, obviously in 12 years, things have changed a lot, you know, and 13 years ago, it was a lot of family dramas like the Gilmore Girls and the One Tree Hills and the Dawson's Creeks and whatnot. And now as I think, not to be unromantic about it, but I think as like visual effects have gotten so much better and less expensive, I think like, oh, well, we can kind of do stuff that used to be movie budget and it takes 5 days to shoot a 1-page scene. Now, like, no, we can do a 2-page scene a day. And some of the stories we've kind of it worked. And I guess I think storytelling is interesting because at the end of the day, it's at least what draws me to a story is the relationships. And the story of sacrifice, and it's interesting, and we've been able to do it on our network. Is show characters making sacrifices that humans could not make. You know, you can't jump off a building to save somebody. You're not going to go chase somebody around and shoot them with arrow. I mean, it's just not realistic. But there's that part of us as a human being. It's like, man, if I could do that, I would. Like, let's see what happens when they make the sacrifice. Like with Sam and Dean, literally dying for people and each other and coming back. You know, and that. What it plays with your mind, like, oh, that'd be really cool and interesting. But I think thematically, I think we share a lot of elements.
Talk about playing with your mind.
Yeah.
Could you guys kind of compare and contrast a little bit of how how Sam and Dean react to their mom versus Crowley, for instance, who had his own kind of drama not long ago?
That's funny. I guess Crowley, what she left when he was 8, right? Rowena, who we love. That's funny. Jensen, he was speaking earlier about the relationship between Dean and Mary, and I think it's one of those situations where you built up something so much in your head that there's no way it's going to be able to fulfill all these dreams of like, oh, if mom was still around, or if we had never started this life, what would it be like? And you've built these stories in your head of what it's going to be like, and inevitably and invariably, it's not like that. I think we're a lot nicer than Crowley, for sure. We certainly haven't tried to kill mom yet, that I know of, or vice versa, that I know of.
We're not constantly plotting against our mother.
Yeah, I'm sure though sometimes they feel like.
Where we are right now, the British men of letters are cleaning up after the Winchesters, after they try to do their good in the world. What will they do?
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
What can you preview about how they will be reacting to that when they realize how
much of a mess they have to
how
clean
much
up.
of a mess they've got to clean up?
Well, it's interesting. It's we're going to see that storyline kind of flesh out in the second half of the season.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be some recruitment attempts and some disagreements about
tactics.
Yeah, about methods of hunting, and that will certainly boil to a point. But as of right now, they're trying their method of, I guess, trying to include us by showing that that they have a superior method of dealing with these things than we do, and they're trying to get us on board with that. But I think we'll find out in the future that maybe their methods aren't the best way.
It also plays a little bit with, it sort of, for me, is reminiscent of season 6, when Sam was soulless and kind of behaved much the same, the way the British men of letters are behaving now, or at least in their hunting tactics, and Dean was obviously not. And so it's fun to revisit that, like, would you kill 2 people to save 3? You know, would you kill 10 to save 12? You're still killing 10 people. Would you try and find the middle ground? Would you try and find the gray area, not the black and white? It's something I deal with in real life, so it's fun to see it play out on screen or on paper.
Lucifer has been banished, apparently, by Rowena, but I assume that all 3 of you will come face to face with him again. What can you tell us about that?
Misha, you want to
Chime in here, buddy.
We should probably answer it.
Yeah. Well, this is for much of this season, Castiel's arc is he's hunting for Lucifer and trying to hunt him down. And yes, he's banished, but he's not out of the picture, and he does come back into play pretty significantly. I think that I'm excited to see how that big
Yes.
twist comes.
Now you're just being a jerk.
I'm just I hate this part of our job, by the way, that we have to talk
Talking
about things that
around.
we're not allowed
Holly's
to talk
back there
about.
going,
Yeah. So we want you to talk about the show, but don't say anything.
Yes. I mean, I'm so happy to tease things without teasing them. Let me put it this way. I would love to tell you what happens because it's very, very juicy.
It's funny is they probably
we're getting
already
death stares.
Do you know already? How many of you get the scripts when they come out?
They're in the writer's room, actually.
And can I get on that list?
He does come back. That's also been in my experience, and I think Supernatural really. I hate to say this in Misha's presence, but I think Supernatural really kicked up a notch in season 4 with the introduction of angels and demons and Lucifer.
Angel or
No, just more
I think
angels in general. There's no specific
really
angel
not
that
one
really
that
stood
set
out.
off. It was just kind of the idea.
And so I like playing with that storyline, even though this season was kind of about going back to the simple things, going back to family. You know, we just had God and his sister of darkness and Lucifer. It was so big at the end of season 11 that we weren't going to go bigger, so we kind of brought it down without really losing the world we know a lot of and probably wouldn't choose to ignore. And I like how Supernatural was able to do that. And I always love the Lucifer storylines. I always feel a kindred connection, as I'm sure Misha does, having played Lucifer for years.
you know you've created a very strange universe when bringing it back and making it intimate and you're dealing with small issues is just hunting down Lucifer.
Yeah, keeping it family.
Really humanizing this
Yeah.
season.
Can you say what, if any, interaction the Winchesters have had specifically with the Rick Springfield version of Lucifer?
We actually, I think in a couple episodes, we, am I allowed to say we do come face to face with?
Yeah, we did.
Well, no, you weren't, actually.
In all fairness, we asked for coffee, and it has, so my brain is working on.
Let's just say that, yeah, we didn't really get a chance to work with Rick much because most of the time it was spent tracking down Lucifer.
Right.
So unfortunately, we didn't really get the pleasure of working with him that much. There is a little bit of work with him, but it certainly wasn't much to talk about because it was so quick.
I sat next to someone on a plane recently who was like, "Are you? Oh my God, I'm sorry. This is so weird. I know who you are, and I'm just so excited because I am such a huge Rick Springfield fan."
Get back to me!
Detour.
Tonight's episode also sees Sam kind of relating to Magda and talking a lot about his special powers, moving things with his mind, all the stuff that we haven't really touched on for a few seasons now.
Yeah.
Does Sam still consider it a part of himself? It seems like he was talking
Yeah.
about it in the present tense. Is that something that's still a going concern for him?
Yeah, I don't think he thinks he's going to tap back into it necessarily, but he's still. I think that was his way. And one of the things we've always seen with Sam from day one is his need to connect on a deeper level with people. You know, it was more like, I'm sorry, as Dean was doing let's figure it out and get the job done. Sam was like, well, wait a second, you know, a little more emotionally involved with people he was with. And so I think it was time for him to connect and turn her around as he had been turned around. And so I don't think it's something he feels is going to come back or he's hoping will come back. I think he probably, even though there were obvious benefits, I think he's probably hoping it doesn't come back. But I know he acknowledges it. He considers it part of himself. You know? It took me a second when you said Magda. I was like,
Magda.
Yeah, I got it.
Sorry.
It occurred to me a couple weeks later.
Magda!
And she was wonderful, by the way. She was a super talented actress.
You guys are battling Nazis again.
Mhm.
So what can you
That's next week.
tell us about that? You can tease.
What can you tell us about that?
I think it's very
Nothing.
brave of the show and the network to stake out such a controversial position. But it's very much anti-Nazi.
It is, which is very brave.
Yeah. I don't know.
The episode description talked about Hitler's soul possibly being around and then trying to bring it back, so maybe that's a starting point.
Yeah, so we find out that the Thule, who are back, we find out, we believe they may have been in control or in possession of a cursed object of sorts that might have a bit of Hitler's soul. And they're trying to do a Jurassic Park and take the amber out of the tree sap and mosquito DNA or whatever. So obviously we don't know how it's going, and so we have to kind of go back and track the Thule and figure out if in fact they have succeeded, though Hitler's vessel thankfully is gone. But it's also, dude, we know Hitler's going to be in it, right? No?
No, we do.
I think that's a yes.
Yeah, there's a preview where it's.
Got it. Yes. So it's fun to see the Supernatural's take on what Hitler was really like behind cameras. And I'm gonna leave it there because I'm just digging. Y'all help out a little bit. I'm just trying to
Do
dig a
they
hole
know?
here.
Do they know that Sam dies?
Do they know Hitler? Do they know Hitler possesses Sam? Or do they, I'm just kidding. Or am I? Next question.
I'm not talking anymore.
You guys, we have time for one more question?
Well, there was an interview you guys did where you talked about maybe trying to get to 300 episodes. Would you care to talk about that some more?
Just 300?
Or more?
Who said that?
I think it was more of like, that's the next milestone.
Yeah.
That would be, like, we kind of have our eyes set on, getting there, and then we'll see. I mean, he keeps talking about another number, but I don't want to mention
We
that.
had well, it's funny because I think we're just distracting ourselves because about a week and a half ago,
We just blew through
we
250.
we wrapped 250, and I was like, man, I think we wrapped at like 8 o'clock. I think it was a Friday even, and I was like, I'm gonna like get some. I'm gonna grab a beer and go hang out with Ackles in his trailer, have a beer or something. And so they commented, they're like, okay, you're wrapped. I was like, sweet, I'm gonna wash makeup off. I'll see Ackles in the makeup trailer washing his makeup off, and we'll grab a beer and sit and chat and reminisce. I'm like, is Ackles? They're like, yeah, he's already cleaned up. I'm like, cool. So I kind of clean up, and I'm like, hey, Jensen, I can't find you. Are you in your trailer? Did you go back on stage? Are you in the camera truck or something? He's like, I'm almost home. I was like, all right, guess it's really not that special. So I think we just.
Tired, I gotta get up tomorrow early.
It used to be like put one. It's kind of funny. It used to be just one step at a time. Now we're like just one and a half season stretch at a time. Just 45
Just
more
one
episodes
50 episode block
at a time. Yeah, 300. I think it's a Eric Kripke way back in the day. I think it's season 3 or 4. He mentioned like 5 seasons or something, and everybody's like, "You're gonna end it after 5 seasons?" And he was like, "No, it's just taken out of context. Like I just think, God, pray we can at least get that far." I think he legitimately was like, I'm just trying to like keep on pushing the ball so they keep on saying yes. And so there are a few numbers. I don't think it's going to be a number. I think we'll all know it when we know it. It's going to be hard to swallow.
I think as long as there's still story to tell, which I think is one of the great aspects of the show is that we're not necessarily bound by reality. So the stories are kind of
what?
Not in my head. So the stories are it's kind of limitless, and I think that as long as they're still coming, they're still staying true to the show, and the characters are still being written in a way that we still get inspired to play them. Then I don't know that there is a number necessarily.
I think the number should be 666.
600?
That's in like 18 years.
Well,
Here we go.
I mean,
All right, Gunsmoke, you're on.
Yeah. Headliner, Misha wants 666 episodes.
Odd coming from an angel.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, we don't know, and the network doesn't seem to have any
Designs to kill us.
designs to knock us off. We still have amazing support from the studio. We still, oddly enough, get along. Don't know how much of that's going to last. But
I keep on having a moment in summer during upfronts, and we're not able to make it every year because we're family or we're working or something. But I always ask, like, okay, when they played the Supernatural reel, how did they present it? Did they say on the 12th season of Supernatural expect this, or did they say on the 12th and final season of Supernatural? And there's like a sigh of relief when it's like, no, they just said 12th season. I'm like, okay, cool. I think that means they're not gonna cancel it, because they're not just gonna tell the fans, like, at the end of the season, oh yeah, by the way, that was it, guys, I hope y'all watched. So,
Yeah, there'll be plenty of warning.
I like to think that there will be warning and it'll be a group decision.
But when that comes, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So,
I don't know what life will be like.
I know.
I'm 22 again. Is that,
Yeah.
all right.
Well, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks a bunch, guys.
Thanks.
Sorry,
Coming
y'all.
and making the trip.
And it's also kind of scary in here, huh? It doesn't seem like it's super, every time somebody walks, I'm like, the roof is falling.
Yeah.
The roof is gonna fall. I think that's black mold
Is
over
that like
there.
a heart on the ceiling?
Yeah.
Is it-
And by the way, a bunch of familiar faces here. I just want to say thank
Yeah.
you for
Jesus.
all of y'all's support throughout our 12 years. I mean, you guys have written some really, really great stuff about what we do here, and I think it's really, without that kind of a support, I don't think that we would be here. So we appreciate you guys a lot.
And thanks for taking it easy on Misha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Being
that was
kind.
really sweet.
He's a delicate flower.
How old were you 12 years ago?
You don't want to know how old I was when I started the show.
You're in your early 20s, aren't you?
No,
No? All right.
she's got a baby face.
Yeah. they
She's
should-
like, no, I'm
She's
17.
18.
That is an amazing thing about the show is how many people are watching it now that could not possibly have been watching it at its inception 12 years ago because they were just too young. Like there's a whole nother generation. We really are like old fucks.
Yeah, poetic.
Yeah.
Poetry. Yeah, pretty amazing. Thanks, guys.
Thank you
Thank
guys.
you.